At the worst moment, your mind goes blank. You're talking with this person or you're making this presentation, you look at the other people and suddenly there's just nothing showing up. You're paralyzed. You're stuck. You have no idea what to do next. You feel the pressure increasing in your body. And as you try to find the next word, it's just nothing. What do? How can you do in this situation to eventually turn it around? How can you do to fix the problem in the long term so that you don't have to deal with this problem anymore? That's what we're gonna see in this video. We'll first start by talking about the common trap that make people with this problem stuck, sometimes for years or decades. Then we will see what works if you really want to fix this problem forever. We will also see a technique that you can use if it ever happens to you in an important situation. And lastly, we will talk about all the benefits you get by following this approach instead of, for example, taking medications or even alcohol or drugs to deal with your anxiety. My name is Jeffrey Huck. I used to be a very shy, introverted, and socially anxious software engineer. But that was about 10 years ago. Since then, I decided to overcome all my fears at all costs, and I became the president of a public speaking club, Toastmasters, a public speaking coach, and I'm now running a business to help people overcome social anxiety. A big trap that many people with social anxiety fall into is to find more explanations about the reason they're having this. In this video, I'm not gonna tell you why your mind goes blank. That's just a fact. And here's the thing, knowing exactly why it happens and how it happens will not fix anything for you. In fact, it can make the problem worse because then you will have reasons about why you cannot possibly change. You have to be very careful of that and very aware of that. Every story you build on top, giving you reason why you are like this, are reasons that will hold you back. You will not fix the problem by reading more. You will not fix the problem with reflection. You will not fix the problem by taking substances or medication. Those can help on the very short term, but it will not help you fix the problem. In fact, it will make the problem worse because then you will rely on something external to fix something that is inside you. See, the problem when your mind goes blank is that you try to fix it. And whatever you do to fix it increases how you feel in the moment, the pressure increases, and until it becomes unbearable and you're just paralyzed. So what works to fix this mind that goes blank? Here I'm not talking about fixing it at the moment where it happens. We will see that later. But how do you handle the mind going blank on the long term? If you're watching this video, for you it might happen when you're just talking with someone, but most likely the main moments where it happens are in important situations. Like when you're getting asked a question about your topic of expertise in front of people at work. Or if you're having an important conversation with your boss, with someone that you feel attracted to, or with a customer, anything that can potentially have an impact on your life. Those are what we call high-stakes situations. During those high-stakes situations, you feel an intense pressure in your body, usually in your belly. And if you don't do anything, this pressure keeps increasing. So here's the technique that works to overcome this problem on the long term. You need to be able to act while feeling this pressure, while feeling this fear, this anxiety, this energy, this adrenaline, this excitement, whatever the name that you're giving to. This is the only thing that will work on the long term, to stop controlling what happens inside, but to learn to act while feeling intense like. This is what we call exposure, and it's the only thing that fixes the problem. Now, obviously, there are ways to do it that works, and there are ways to do it that doesn't work. What's important when you're doing exposure is to do it step by step. You need to find things that triggers fear for you. For some people, it's talking with people in the street. For other people, it's talking in front of audiences. For other people, it's to go to an event and talk with people. The idea is to find the next fear for you. Something that is fear, that triggers fear, but not too much in a way that's not paralyzing. That's how you get used to this sensation of pressure. By finding situations where there is pressure without it being too much. And if you want a step-by-step guide, I wrote an entire book about it. It's called The Extrovert Switch. And I give you a list of challenges to overcome shyness and social anxiety step by step. But here's what you need if you want to start now. Find something that triggers fear, that's not paralyzing. That's optional. If it triggers fear and it's something that you have to do, it's not really exposure because you don't have a choice. You need to find situations where you have the choice. And once you're in a situation like this, don't filter what you say. Just say whatever crosses your mind, because one of the big reasons people have social anxiety is they try to create an image, they try to control what other people perceive about them, and it's so tiring and it doesn't work, and it leads to a lot of adverse effects. It's also important when you're doing exposure that there's no stakes. If it's something that's important, that you really want to succeed, the pressure will be higher. If you start out, don't start with that. The goal is to be able to act under pressure, step by step, until it becomes second nature, until you have so many experiences in your past of you speaking up with pressure successfully. That's how you get confident in those situations. Now you might say, but what can I do, Jeff, if it happens in the moment? I'm giving this presentation, I'm talking to my boss, I'm having this job interview, I'm having this sales call with a potential customer, and suddenly my mind gets blank and I have no idea what to tell. So obviously, if you're in this situation, it means you didn't train yet before facing this situation over and over. You're just in this situation. What can you do in this situation? Well, my friend, there is only one thing you can do in this situation. Be open about what's happening for you in the moment. Because when you are in this situation that's so intense, there is no way you're gonna get back to what you were saying, to your normal train of speech. You can't do that. You don't have access to it. And in fact, the more you try to find something to say, and the more intense it gets. But here's something you always have access in this situation. It's what you feel in your body. It's what you see. And of course you have access to it, because the problem is that it's too intense. So of course you know what's happening. And what works the best is just to be open about it. And you can say to the other person, hey, look, right now my mind is completely blank. I feel an intense pressure. I'm super stressed. This is an important situation or not. You can say that it happens often in those situations, that it's something that you might be scared of, that you would want to learn to deal with. Anything that happens, anything that crosses your mind, just say it, be open. This is a technique that I give to people who go on stage. And sometimes they had very bad experiences before and they're scared of being in front of people and having this blank mind. So I tell them, if it happens, just tell the audience what you're feeling. It doesn't have to be in front of an audience, can be in any other situation. Just be open, share what happens. Because we are all humans. Everyone knows this feeling. Even people who don't have social anxiety, they know what it is to have the mind freezing. It's not something that happens only to you. Everyone knows about it. When you share what's happening, what you do is you create an emotion connection with the other person. Say, hey, I'm human like you. This is my experience. And if you don't accept it, then maybe I don't have to deal anything with you if you don't accept who I am and what I experience. But in my experience, it opens doors instead of closing them. And it's liberating because once you share this thing that you've been hiding, once you share this thing that makes you feel so much fear in many types of interaction, because that's the worst thing that can happen, it liberates you. Because what else is there to fear once you're open about it? Once the other person knows what you're experiencing, the stress, the pressure, the anxiety, what left is there to fear about? Because they know. Well, my experience, nothing. What I found is that you only have to do it once. Usually you do it once and you feel incredibly liberated. And you create a human connection. And you can use it on stage, creates an incredible connection with the audience. Or you can do it in a meeting, you can do it in a presentation. That's your joker. Next time you face a situation and your mind goes blank, whatever the situation, it's your ultimate joker. That's the worst thing that can happen, and now you know how to handle it. Just be completely open about what's happening right now for you, what you are experiencing, and feel free. Now, we talked about exposure previously. Why is it so powerful? You probably already heard of this concept of comfort zone. We have a set of actions that we feel comfortable doing, that we feel confident about. Because we did it before and we know it works, and so it's within our range of action. And we don't feel much fear when we are doing those actions. And then there are all the other things that are behind. Maybe it's striking conversations with strangers. Maybe it's asking for something that you want, a raise, a phone number. Maybe it's talking in front of other people during a meeting. Maybe it's making a dynamic presentation in front of a customer, or taking the stage and presenting a conference. Those things that are out of your comfort zone triggers fear. Now, of course, you could say that if you do something again and if you have positive results, at some point you will feel more comfortable, you will feel more confident. But this can also be a trap, because there will always be other things that you fear. So if you have one thing that you fear and you do it again and again until you feel confident, you will still not be able to do the other things. And this works for all domains of social skills. Being confident in one area doesn't make you confident in another. I once met someone who was working at a bakery, and I asked them, because I found those people impressive. They're making small talk every day, or telling jokes, talking with everyone. So I asked this person, how did she do it? How can she be so open with everyone? And that person told me that yes, at the bakery she can. But outside, she feels paralyzed to talk with strangers. She's confident at the bakery, but she's not confident outside. With exposure, when you find what you fear and expose yourself to the fear again and again, you get a confidence that's not just working in one situation, but that's working in many. You teach yourself to handle fear and not a specific situation. That's why it's so powerful. Because then it's not about the situation, it's about the fear, which means that every time you will feel fear in the future, you will have this confidence that you know how to handle fear, even if you never did the specific action in the specific situation that you're in. The second benefit of exposure is that this intense pressure that you feel in your body, in intense situations, It's energy. It's literally your brain that gives energy to the body because it knows that this is an important situation and that you don't have much experience in it. When you use this energy instead of fighting it, you will be more present, you will be aware, you will be in the moment, and you will be able to perform at a way higher level that you usually can. And this is a technique that's used by many public speakers, people who stand out on stage, not just people who speak, but people who are able to perform, who are able to subjugate their audiences and give them an incredible experience. Those people, they feel an intense fear before they do it, but they learn to harness this energy. This is what you learn with exposure. This is what you learn by facing fear and by removing the filters that you have, by throwing yourself into the situation that triggers the pressure and by using this energy. And this is why it's so much more powerful than any medication, because the medication might, if it works, doesn't work all the time, might make you feel better in the moment. But you will never learn to apply what you did, and you will never learn to use this energy because it removes, it numbs your body. And it's the same thing with alcohol and drugs. No, but with those ones it's even worse because it changes who you are, it's bad for your health, you will do things that you regret, so those are even worse. But that's the whole power of exposure, is that you get better on the long term, and not just in a situation in particular, but in all situations. That's how you fix the mind going blank, by being used to the pressure and removing the filters. With your joker that you can use in the worst moment to just talk about whatever is happening in your brain. If you found this video useful, subscribe to this channel to see the next ones. You can also get my book on Amazon. It's called The Extrovert Switch, an action manual from social anxiety to unstoppable courage. See you next time.